Gupta envisioned the opening of a holistic under one roof diabetes, thyroid and endocrine center, which eventually took shape in 2014. Since then, the center services more than 14,000 patients per year. His motto has been gifting life. In order to achieve that vision, he has led research from the forefront that has helped alter existing guidelines and treatment protocols in order to improve patient quality of life, longevity. He wrote a book called Beyond Type 2 Diabetes in 2020, which summarizes his research and understanding of diabetes addressing difficult to manage conditions like diabetes and infections, immunity, cancer, heart and kidney disease, and most of all, nutrition. It especially guides healthcare providers to manage heart, renal complications. He founded a national, international endocrine group called InDEA, INDEA, Indian Diabetes Endocrine Association, that holds a yearly conference with the aim to educate primarily and secondary healthcare providers on latest research and outcomes in diabetes and endocrinology. I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Vishal Gupta to address on diabetes and you. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Dr. Satya Brahma, to a very long relationship after we met a few days back. I thought I'd start off with something, and I thought I'd scare all of you. But I think I changed my motto after listening to Dr. Nikhil Desai. I cannot really start before, let's go back to his lecture, right? And I think, according to him, there were three main aspects or take-home messages that I got. The first is you have a very strong lumbosacral spine, and that's my mum, and a wife that a debt that I cannot owe. You need a strong cervical spine. So my two beautiful kids, my dad, and I think the laughter aspect. And that's Dr. Vaishali and our team, who try to make every patient's life like a laugh. We love treating our people because I often get, we love the vibes of your clinic, we love coming here because you treat us like family. And that's half my battle won when we are treating them. I want to take, as I said, I was going to start completely differently, but Dr. Nikhil Desai actually restructured my entire approach to this. And I think, I'll tell you, I don't get bored because I'm extremely enthusiastic, but I want each one of you to honestly tell me how many people were tired or fatigued to the point that they couldn't do much for a day in the last 6 weeks. And that'll be brilliant because I felt tired about maybe 30 days in the last 6 weeks. So there's nobody here who's felt tired to the point that they couldn't work? Yeah, come on, raise your hands. I'm a positive guy. I'm happy to laugh. But if I'm going to be tired and I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do, it doesn't make sense, right? I need to first try to sort that fatigue out. And I'll tell you why I'm coming to this. So over the last 20 years, I've translated all my, so I generate hypothesis when a patient comes to me, a complicated answer when I see a heart, kidney and liver in trouble. I exercise that hypothesis, try to make our patient's life better. And the reason I say this is, do not look at diabetes as a bandage. And what I mean by bandage, it's not elevated blood sugars. You view diabetes as two different entities. One is a weight-related issue. And the reason I say this is the first time when I went to the UK in 2001 and in a seminar, I shouted a 32-year-old female obese lady and the whole 300 doctors class looked at me on my face because that was the rudest thing to say. So I'm going to address it as a weight-related issue, and I want you to address this as diabetes. Now come back to my fatigue. When somebody's sugars are uncontrolled, That is, somebody has your average A1C. I'm sure you're all aware of the A1C, right? When that's above 8, that directly translates into a fatigue. Now, this is due to multiple factors. 4 out of 10 snore at night. How many people snore at night? I know I do. Yeah, 4 out of 10 snore at night. That needs an evaluation for sleep apnea, which is nothing but fatigue through the day, wanting cat naps. Pre-pandemic, this was out of 10 diabetics, 4 developed a thyroid issue. Now this has moved on to a 6 or 7. 93% of Indians are B12 deficient. 93% are vitamin D deficient. 80% are magnesium deficient. We do not get the right protein in our diet. We are a completely carbohydrate-driven diet, and each one of you, if you all did a non-random lipid profile, you'd find 6 out of 10 having a triglyceride above 128. Now, anybody wants to correct me with this value of 128? All of you love reading your blood tests. All of you love educating me how to treat you. So I would like to ask for one correction. Anyone wanting to correct me, and I want you to correct me because I'll tell you why I'm saying this. Anybody wants to correct this value of 128 triglyceride level? I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, right? Do you all? Okay, anybody wants to correct me? Anybody paid attention to the sidebar of the laboratory profiles? No? It says above 150 in a few labs, and it says above 200 in a few labs. Where do we get this data? We get this data from the white Caucasian people. They are not us. An average Indian loses his life expectancy to about 17.6 years as a diabetic. We do too little too late. And that's one of the reasons all my research over the last 20 years has shown that you can't do that. Reason being is, diabetes is not a blood sugar. It is the culmination of the correct gene in the correct environment. What is the environment? The environment is a weight-related issue. And I'll come to you as to why this environment needs to change. Now, there's a direct correlation with, as I told you, with worsening diabetes and a sedentary life. What do you mean by sedentary life? Anybody can define sedentary life? I'll come to the triglyceride a little later. So Leslie says without much movement. There's actually a definition. So in our diabetes world, under 4 hours, 4 to 8 hours, and above 8 hours of inactivity. Inactivity means watching television, solving a puzzle, sitting on your backside. This is 10% risk of breast cancer over a decade, 7% risk of colon cancer, type 2 diabetes between 7 and 30% between different age groups, a reduction in life expectancy of 1 year. Now this directly translates into, so people who do this, increased coffee intake, increased tea intake, increased chips, increased drinking, increased smoking, and these are all risk factors which can be modified, right? Now when you go to a doctor's clinic, what do you see? He will start his prescription, he'll not look at your face. If you ask him any question, he'll get really irritated with you because he's busy writing his prescription. You start seeing his hand moving from 1 drug point to 2 drugs, 3 drugs, 4 drugs, comes to 15 drugs, gives you the prescription, and you're horrified. Correct? What is this doctor trying to do? Now I'll come back to your triglyceride story. A triglyceride cutoff of 128 is what we are presenting at the 24th Annual American Diabetes Association, and we are telling the Americans, please keep your guidelines to yourself. The moment this 128 number reaches beyond 7 years, this directly correlates with liver disease. We have seen a 10 to 20-fold increase in liver disease after the pandemic, and a 118-fold increase in incidence of heart disease. Come back to diabetes. It's the 9th top killer as per the World Health Organization 2023. Any guesses for who's number 1, 2, 3, and 10? And I'm saying this with a reason. Anyone who knows what's number 1? Vascular disease. That is heart disease. For every 1 kilo you gain weight, heart disease increases by 1 to 1.5%. blood pressure by 1 millimeter, your diabetes increases by 0.1. Now for every 3 kilograms that you lose weight, that you gain weight, the medication that you take reduces in efficacy by 9%. For every 10 kilos you lose weight the other way, you save your heart by only 12%. So when people say, I want to lose weight, doc, I want to stop all my drugs, is that the right decision? So that means that person's going to live 200 years, is that right? So I dropped 20 kilos right now. Am I going to live 200 years? I'm going to still die on my expected date. The only thing that will change is my quality of life. If you want to improve your life expectancy, you must modify 3 of the most common modifiable risk factors. I will not say weight, I will say abdominal circumference. Reason being is for every 2 centimeters that the abdominal circumference increases, the risk of colon cancer increases 4%. And for every 4 centimeters it increases, that translates to a BMI of 4.6 kilogram per meter square, which is a 34% increased risk of pancreatic cancer. Now coming down to the second largest killer, strokes. Diabetes ranked 9 overall because it's the largest cause of death for heart disease, largest cause of blindness, largest cause of kidney disease, number 10. Over 15 years of life of a diabetic, 54% will develop some sort of kidney disease, stage 2 to stage 5. The kidneys and the heart are connected. When a kidney starts leaking protein, the story is not about the kidney, it's about saving the heart. I find healthcare practitioners failing to change the 3 most modifiable risk factors. Your blood pressure. Number 2 is your cholesterols. I get taught in the clinic of what statin to use and why not to use because of memory disturbances. Please remove that myth. The right dose of statin for the right body weight, for the right person, reduces dementia by 2%. Okay? I cannot summarize 20 years of my education in this 15 minutes, but the message I'm trying to give you is, please find a doctor who knows what he is doing. A simple thing like fatigue. So we presented data in 2019 to 21 and we found with the best treatment so I called the SGLT2 inhibitors our Brahmastras. I called our GLP analogs, as you commonly know, Ozempics and the Rybelsus, as Sita Maya, okay, that is our Trishul. And Lakshman Ji is your cholesterol lowering tablet. Now, I have more than 9 out of 10 patients stopping therapy prior to their visit with me because Dr. Sahab, आप तो दवाइयाँ चेंज करने वाले थे, हमको लगा पैसा क्यों खर्चा करें, अगर आपने चेंज कर ली, okay, तो हमारा पैसा खर्चा हो जाएगा. Never do that. The body hates shocks. Shocks means a cholesterol from a 90 going to 200. And a sugar of 100 going to 400 and a 400 going to 90. Please address the silent killer. I want you all to recognize the silent killer, which is subclinical heart failure, which has gone up 118-fold since the pandemic. You're seeing people dropping dead. One of the reasons is the BNP marker. It's a little complicated, but it's just a name I want you to address with your family doctors. You need to keep that number below 82. If that's above 125, that is a ticking time bomb for sudden cardiac death. And you will be surprised. So we showed in 2021 with the best Brahmastras and the Trishuls and Lakshmanjis and Sita Mayas in your prescription, 4 out of 10 people who complain of fatigue have actually subclinical heart failure. The most important thing, I would love to reach a situation where, again, I went crazy. Please, I have a tendency to overshoot, okay? So stop me when you're getting bored, because I can go on and on. So, the drugs. I would love for the pharmaceutical companies to issue a cancer-free certification from their medication. Please don't go behind that word generic. Please don't go behind that word generic. I was shocked to know that my prescriptions are being changed online, and there are organizations who are employing MBBS doctors for 50,000 rupees a month. It's a 500 crore market, 500 crore market, where my prescription goes online, the doctor changes it to generics. The so-called generics. What do you understand by generic? I'd love to know this. It took me a long time to understand this. I think Dr. Satya would be in the best position to teach us this because she has a pharmaceutical industry. Dr. Satya, could you for 2 minutes tell us the meaning of the word generic, because I want this group to know.
You'll go later? After some time you'll go? Take care. Let your father come. You can go. Okay.
Can I stop you there? What is the catch in your statement copy? Would I be right in saying that in 2016, when valsartan got banned along with ranitidine and losartan, the problem about the 100 companies, only 2 were let free. One was Novartis. One was another company that Novartis was associated with, but 98% brands were called back in the US, but it did not happen in India because of the increased nitrosamine concentrations that had the certification of pro-cancer. Why did that not happen in our country? Right. Correct. Yes. Yes.
Solvents lead to impurities.
Correct.
And impurities are what lead to your cancer.
Correct.
So we have that's where I think we need to work on. The impurities have to be cause impurities.
So
yes.
I need you all to know your pharmaceutical companies. I need you all to know there are 10 billion fake drugs that are entered on the 1st of January in India. I need you all to know what you all are dealing with. I would want you all to know whether they are cancerous or not. And these are issues that cannot be dealt with. So as of now, the statistic for every single Indian over the next 2 decades is 9 out of 10 are going to develop cancer. And that's a very, very scary statistic. I gave you what's happening with diabetes. I told you the diabetes pandemic. Every single diabetic has got a weight-related issue. 50 out of 100 is what you see, but 50 out of 100 is within and around their organs. And taking that into account, over 30 years, I'll tell you how we've changed ourselves. For the same weight and the BMI, in a Caucasian, for a woman, her waist circumference increased by 5 centimeters over 30 years. An average Asian has 5% more body fat than a Caucasian. Can you imagine what is happening to our bodies and how aggressive we have made our genes? The same BRCA gene which caused cancer 100 years back translated into cancer 15%, and now it is 96%. So, as I said, I can keep going on. Take home message, please lose weight. Don't let your relatives say, oh hum सूखे हो गए हैं, आप खाओ please, आपकी माँ खाना नहीं देती है, बाबा बहुत खाना दे दिया 50 साल. Okay? Number 2, know your drugs.
Vishal, sorry to intervene. I
Yes.
just wanted to ask you one thing. 30% of Indian population are diabetic, but they are not diagnosed up. They don't know that they have diabetes. What do you have to say to those audience actually?
I'll tell you, it's a problem with 2. It's problem so I will not say, so the problem is with diabetes and you. So diabetes, because we don't have great screening programs. It's not like the Western countries where it's structured. You have to go to your local doctor. You have to go to your borough. If you flout that principle, you're thrown out of the system. The doctor, the patient chooses here. It's a private healthcare. It's unstructured. You have the right to choose. You don't like the doctor's face. You don't like the way he smells. You don't like the way he dresses. You have the option to move. So you need very, very effective screening programs. And that's why my life's worth I've undertaken. We are launching an IPO. In 5 years, I want to take out 200 crores, if not 100 crores. open a center where I can give high quality care, drugs free of cancer, only 10 paisa to 25 paisa profit per drug, free tests. We've already made India's cheapest laboratory service. I hope some great family comes forward and emulates this, because that's the order of the day if the government can't help you. So I'm going to say thank you, Dr. Satya. I'm happy for any questions to be answered later, but thank you for inviting me. And as I said, without my lumbosacral spine and my cervical spine and all the people who've made my life better, I wouldn't be here. Thank you so much.
I think, Vishal, what you spoke about are actually very informative. You highlighted the statistics which are very accurate. Some of the points which you highlighted as a diabetologist, as an endocrinologist, do really picture a good picture. You are bang on when you tell that pharmaceutical companies who are entering are not, the cases are not there. Dr. Satya Badlamani can correct me, because he's into NDDS and supplying to so many pharmaceutical companies. So we need to be much more cautious when we consume the drugs. There is a problem in India that government has come out with a welfare program that you have to take medicines at a cheaper rate, generics, that is from Modi care centers. It so happened that one person was given a ciprofloxacin, and that ciprofloxacin, when he opened that capsule, there were nothing there actually. The entire strip, there were only 2 filled capsules, and rest of them were empty. Why it is happening actually?
I think the problem, Modi ji is trying to do the best that he can. I think it's just such an unstructured system without a hierarchy, without any level of care. I think the doctors I think diabetes is a money-making racket, right? I studied 18 years to get to where I was. Gayatri, who is my medical liaison, can treat each one of you. The problem she'll have is in those 3 people who will develop a complication. But she can treat each one of you because she's exposed to a brilliant healthcare family that treats our patients. It's a money-making racket. Every single prescription, I'm tempted to take a photocopy of it and publish it online, but I have enough. My mouth is loud enough, and I'm feared in the pharma industry for who I am, because I don't mince my words. Yeah. I don't hold back. I've got the power of the pen. We see over 15,000 patients a year. And I thank God I thank Jai Siya Ram for being where I am today. I'm really very unhappy, and I don't like where this is headed over the next decade. Right from the generic concept to the drugs to the cancer-causing concept to the, I don't like where we are headed. It's become a money, I call it the second most corrupt institution after, I'm not going to name loudly, but it's the second most corrupt institution that we have today.
Can I just interrupt 1 minute,
Yeah.
please? I heard from Dr. Satya.
No,
not about you. No, not personally. I'm just trying to answer something.
I don't mean to offend you.
No, absolutely not. Your talk has been very good. I should really thank you for that. But I would just like to state one thing today. The regulations I'm not considering the spurious drugs. That's a totally different business. I'll never talk about it.
Yes, yeah.
But today, as on date, the CDSCO, the way it is functioning, they have become very stringent in terms of approvals for any products which are showing nitrosamine impurities or any kind of, earlier it was not so, even ICH guidelines, where I was a part of when we started our company, ICH guidelines had more than 5,000 ppm was allowed in the solvents. Today it's down to 500 ppm. But they have taken time to come up to this level.
Can I counter that?
Yeah.
We are the only people in the country who have some research molecules. It's about my practice over the years. I won't name the company. The shelf life of that drug that we have is 2 years. We rejected 5 manufacturers because they told us that our shelf life is 6 months, but you can show it 1 year on your product. And I cannot even name them. That's not correct.
That is absolutely a very wrong thing.
Right. And I'll tell you, this company is a global company. It's a multinational company. and I'm so gutted that that drug is on the system. And I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is you buy the drug, within first 3-4 months of the drug, you use it, you will get value. But the moment it starts crossing a certain time frame and you keep it and you bought 10 packets of that drug, after 4 months you realize, oh God, what's happened? My TSH has gone up. My thyroid's not controlled. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. What's going on? And in this pandemic, this is really a catastrophe because this virus is changing us the way we are.
Absolutely.
Right? You will all understand and recognize what you all are today. You all weren't this way 4 years back.
Yes.
Right? Each one of you. And there's a reason, because this virus has gone and is shrinking 19% of your brain. Can you imagine? Forget the other things that are happening.
Totally.
So what I'm trying to tell you is that we want people, we are already living in chaos. We want people to take a little step back, maybe earn 2 rupees more, right? 2 rupees less, but give us things where I'm happy to pay for my stuff. I'm happy to give 2 rupees more, but I want drugs of value.
Totally agree with you on that.
Let's
Totally
really go.
agree with you
Let's-
on that, and you're absolutely right.
Good.
I think everybody loves the topic about diabetes. So anyways, my father is insisting Vishal sir should not go, but he has to. So thank you, sir, for your insightful talk. Now I request Dr. Satya Brahma on stage to present memento as a mark of respect to Dr. Vishal Gupta.
For those of you who have not interacted much with